Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Study Survival podcast, where we're going to be sharing all of our best tips, tricks, and study hacks that stick with you today. But Will has actually organised what we're doing in this episode, so I'm as out of the know as you guys are. So Will, would you like to fill us in? What's going on?
Okay, are you doing okay today, Blair?
I'm doing good, thank you. It's so hot outside. The heat wave at the moment in the UK is crazy. Make sure you have your sun cream on today, guys.
Sounds well. I'm very excited about this quiz. True or false?
Ooh.
All right, and it's all about studying over the summer.
Very
Some
exciting.
students don't study at all over the summer, and they get to the next year that they're in, they're woefully underprepared.
Yeah.
And then the whole year is more difficult. They're being left behind, and it's like a nightmare.
It's just so overwhelming.
And there's some students who just like study every day and they're burnt out and they're knackered and they're beating themselves up and they're burnt out and now they're knackered and the year hasn't even started.
It's very true. It's very true.
So we want somewhere in the middle, and we're going to figure out like the biggest mistakes people make over the summer
Love
when they're
that.
revising.
Sounds fantastic.
All in quiz form.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course, if you get any questions wrong, Blair, as always, you're fired. So, it's high stakes.
You can do the apprentice point if you're fired.
That's exactly right. Oh, my days.
There you go. The pressure's on.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Are you okay?
To be honest, last time I did one of these, I got 100%. Not to toot my own horn or big myself up, but
Well, obviously you got 100%. You're still here.
well, yeah.
I'm just going to do these
That's why I'm back.
Yeah, this is just an excuse to get
Will
you
has a
out.
secret plot to just get me fired.
It's not secret, Blair.
It's well known.
All right, true or false? You should take the entire summer off from any schoolwork.
Okay. I would say, see, it probably depends on what year you're in and all sorts. I would say, as a general rule, false. Yay. The reason I would say about depending on what kind of year you're in, obviously if you're in year 7, you're going to have different amount of workload to do over the summer holidays versus being in year 10, for example. You also might have set work from your school in terms of homework, longer projects, which people tend to leave until the last minute, which always, turns around and gets them. But year 10s, I would say definitely should be doing some gentle revision over the summer just to keep your brain ticking over and consolidating those topics from year 10 so that when you're in year 11, you can just focus on your year 11 content at first before you combine it all together.
All right, true or false? Doing just 30 minutes of studying a day over the summer can make a big difference.
Let me have a think. I'm going to say that is true.
It is true. Yeah, well done, Blair. Good job.
Thank you. The reason I would say it's true is obviously kind of what we just said about just little and often, small manageable chunks, just reminding yourself of the content and really solidifying it in over the summer holidays before you start your next year of academic content.
That's really great. Little and often is better than like massive chunks.
Yeah, because that's when you get overwhelmed and that's when you can feel burnt out or feel more anxious. Doing it in these smaller sections means everything just feels way more in your control.
Perfect. All right, lovely stuff. You're
2 for
doing
2.
well. Yeah, 2 for 2 so far. Very good. Next question.
Go on.
There's no point revising topics you didn't understand during the term. Wait for the teacher to reteach them. True or false?
I would say false.
That is correct. Well done.
Hey, the pause you're doing is getting me. I'm like, have I just made myself look a fool? Obviously, you don't know whether your teacher is actually going to recover some of these topics that you're going through. And so at a point, it may be that you need to go away and learn a topic yourself. That's something that Will has mentioned he's done before, taken the textbook and just gone off and cracked on and got it in his head. But if you're struggling with understanding the way your teacher is explaining different content to you, it might be worth having a look on YouTube, seeing if there's someone who can explain it in a slightly different way. Obviously at Bright Teach, we've got all of our live classes, so that might be something that is of benefit to you. Using CGP books, whatever kind of resources allow you to digest this information. But as a general rule, passively waiting for your teacher to go over something is not a good idea. You could always email them and say, hey, do you mind if you could give me 10 minutes on a lunch break and then we can go through this content and then hopefully you'd have a better idea.
Awesome. That's really good advice.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the next question.
Let's do it.
Revising over the summer holidays ruins your summer. True or false?
That's quite a subjective question. If we're being completely honest, that's quite a subjective question. No, it's false. It doesn't ruin it.
That's correct. Good job. Yeah, it is a bit more subjective, that question.
Yeah. I think it depends how much revision you're doing, what revision you're doing, what else you're doing in your summer holiday.
You could ruin it, couldn't you?
You could ruin it. You could go on a week-long holiday to, I don't know, the Bahamas. And if you were working for 8 hours a day and then going outside for just food, it would probably ruin your holiday.
It would indeed.
But as a general rule, same thing. Small, manageable chunks, you'll be okay. Promise.
Little and often.
Yeah.
Maybe take a week or two in there as well.
Yeah.
With no revision.
Yeah, definitely. Treat yourself. Have a little, especially once you've just finished your end of years, maybe your friends are all around and it's before, because people don't tend to go on holiday straight away when school finishes. Maybe you take the week or two after your end of year exams are done. You use that as your, I'm just having a break.
It's really good. And you could even do like a cool down week after your school. And then you sort of do a little bit more revision in that week.
Yeah.
You might not want to, but it's a good idea to start relaxing and getting into that frame of mind.
Yeah.
And then like a warm-up week, the week before school starts again. Start doing a bit more revision.
Yeah.
It's good for your brain.
Sorry, I yawned. Not because you were boring me. Just, I'm tired.
I really hope you get the next one wrong.
Thanks. We'll see. Son like Donkey Kong.
All right. Next question.
Go on.
Active recall and past paper practice are still the best revision techniques over the summer. True or false?
True.
It is true. Good job.
Oh,
Well done.
Obviously, different people revise in different ways. So you may be someone that prefers visual learning techniques or kinesthetic learning techniques, which if you don't know what they are, you should go back to our previous episodes where we talk about it in detail. But as a general rule, active revision versus passive revision. Passive revision is like reading your notes or highlighting multiple chapters of a textbook where no information actually goes in your head. You're not manipulating it and being able to reflect and digest on what you're learning. Active revision, like flashcards and testing yourself and teaching others, are all techniques that are going to get that information much clearer in your head.
Very good.
Thank you.
Well done. You're 5 for 5 so far.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 6. True or false? You shouldn't use your school books during the summer. Give them a break too.
What have they been doing? Give them a break. I would say false. You can use your textbooks in the summer.
That's correct. Well done.
Lovely. And obviously, you know, if all your information is in there, if it's relevant to your course, because your teachers aren't going to give you hopefully teachers aren't going to give you a textbook on the wrong course. But it should be, you know, GCSE or IGCSE or AQA or EdXL. It will be correct to your spec. So I would say stick with some of the materials that your teachers are giving you because they're probably the correct ones.
But probably the
Fingers
correct ones.
crossed.
I like that. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
I had a teacher teaching us the wrong spec when I was doing my biology GCSE, and we called her out in the class and we're like, this isn't on our specification. She was like, well, I just thought you might like to know it anyway. I'm like, this entire class is not getting above a 3 and the exams are like in a month. We do not have time
like,
for
learn this.
You might want to learn this because it's fun. I don't care. I need to pass.
Wow.
So just keep an eye.
That's pretty crazy.
It was intense. She was not with us for very long.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Question number 7.
Go on.
True or false? It's better to study at the same time each day during the summer.
Ooh. See, this is a difficult one because obviously people have different plans going on in the summer. You might have something on in the morning and then you might need to revise in the afternoon. I would say, what would I say? I would say, wait, ask the question again so I get the phrasing correct because I don't want to say true when I mean false.
It's better to study at the same time each day during the summer.
I would say true. Is that correct?
It is correct, yeah. Good job.
I would say true because making sure you're following some kind of structure or rhythm will help your brain get into habits of, at this time, I start working. It will set your natural body clock and just kind of keep you on top of, let's say you start revising every day at, not every day, but you know what I mean, at 10 a.m. If you are doing that, then you're going to need to be up at 9 o'clock in the morning? And then by waking up at the same time and going to bed at a similar time, you're just going to keep that structure and that rhythm for your body and your brain, and information is going to be absorbed a whole lot better.
That's right. Very good.
Thank you.
Excellent. Question number 8.
Go on.
You need to study every single day of the summer to do well. True or false?
I would say false.
That's correct. Well done.
Yay. Yeah. And obviously people have different stuff going on in the holidays. You're going to be potentially going on holiday, you're going to be seeing family, you're going to be seeing friends. You might just want a day. With how hot it's been recently, there might be a day when it's 36 degrees and you cannot think of anything worse than looking at your textbooks, and you might just want to be outside in the pool, and that's fine. It's the summer holiday. Take some time off at least.
Absolutely.
Take some time off, yeah.
So that might sound a bit contradictory. How can they sort of revise at the same time every day, but also take some time off?
Well, so obviously you've got a little bit of balance. So when I was in between my GCSE summer of year 10 and year 11, I think I did like 1 hour a day, maybe 2 on some days.
Wow.
But instead of, I did not do very well in year 10. I needed to pick up the pace over summer holidays. And obviously everybody will be in different positions. You might have some kids who aren't doing any revision because they're already where they need to be. And if you're not, you might have to do a little bit more work than them. And that's just part of it. But I think I was doing 1 or 2 hours a day. But there were days when I was busy, so I didn't do that time. And then that was okay. Maybe I'd pick up an hour next week and just kind of try and substitute it in when I could. Or I would do something different. Like, let's say I was taking the day off of revision to go and see my cousins in Canterbury, right? Then I would maybe find a YouTube video and watch it in the car on the way. And it's not active revision in terms of flashcards or teaching my brother or whatever, but it's just like a gentle reminder of the content. Or you can go on Seneca's Spotify. They have podcasts for subject-specific content, and just have a little bit of a listen. There's all of these different techniques and stuff where you can take your revision on the go. So if you're on the train or anything, just try and keep a little bit of something every now and then. But taking some clear, defined days off as well is important. It might be your birthday in the summer. Take your birthday off.
You should do that.
That's okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
You are 8 for 8 so far. Next question.
Okay.
You haven't finished yet. One question wrong and this is all over. We're going to have to get a new host for the podcast.
Don't miss me too much.
Yeah. So we'll find someone who looks exactly like you.
Bring Blair. Bring Blair. Blair.
Next question. True or false? Summer is a good time to create revision resources like flashcards or mind maps.
I would say yeah. Go on. True.
That's right.
Locking it in.
Well done.
Yay! Basically, if you make all of your notes over the summer holidays on whatever content you've got which you don't have notes for, it means that when it comes to the actual revision period of time before your exams, you're not faffing around making the flashcards because you've already got them. They're already in your locker, and you can then just practice testing yourself on them. If you make all the mind maps, flashcards, voice notes, whatever revision techniques you prefer to use, do that over the summer holidays, and then when it comes to the exam, you're just powering through them.
It's a bit more like relaxing, isn't it? Just writing out flashcards.
It's not taxing.
It's a bit time consuming, but it's not that taxing.
Yeah.
So that's quite a good activity for a hot summer's day.
Definitely. And I think there is something to be said for, I know a lot of people use kind of Quizlet and stuff for their flashcards, but personally, and some specialists agree with me, I am a fan of paper flashcards because the second you use it on a computer, you're typing, not handwriting, but also then you're just, what are you doing? Click, 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 click. How are you actually actively yes, you're testing yourself kind of, but I would say it's at like 40% of the full potential you could be at reaching. Because if you're writing out your flashcards, you're having to think in a different way from just typing and just copying. You're having to think of the spelling of certain words. So if you're doing them for biology and you need to remember how to spell mitosis, for example, you're writing it out. And that, I think, helps it get into your head in a slightly different way. And then it also means you have this deck where you can see, look how many flashcards I've made. It can be quite rewarding as well versus digitally. And obviously you can't see a screen outside in the garden, but you can see some flashcards and a pen.
It's pretty good. I'm a maths teacher and I still don't know how to spell isosceles.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's the dyslexia coming in clutch.
Absolutely. All right. Question number 10.
Okay.
There's no point studying until you know which topics are on your marks.
I don't think anybody ever finds out what topics are on their mocks. False. False. False.
That's correct. Well done.
Yay. I think it's really hard to work out exactly what topics will come up on your mocks or your GCSEs or your A-levels or whatever exams you're doing. You might have a rough guess of like, these are the topics we think will come up. But even then, you don't know how the questions are going to be asked. So in terms of what revision you can do, you know, obviously have a look through the topics that you think are going to come up. but also doing some practice past paper questions, then you'll be able to understand the different ways in which the examiners can be asking the questions. So they might say, discuss 3 reasons, and they might say, explain 3 reasons. And those are 2 completely different questions. Discuss, explain, understanding the command words, the way that which they structure the questions. Maybe they like you to compare 2 things. Maybe they like it like this. Maybe they like it like that. Understanding that and getting it in your head means that when you come into the exam, you'll be just a bit more mentally prepared, and it can feel a little bit less overwhelming when you open a paper and you're like, oh my goodness. Would be my suggestion.
Very good. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Oh yeah, it will be one of the topics in your specification.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It will be one of the, but you don't know which specific ones.
Exactly.
It will be, some of them do come up and some of them don't come up. And at Bright Teach, we have predicted papers, which we go through in the live classes. So there you go. You can even ask any questions on the papers too. Okay, next question. True or false, revising in the garden or park can actually help you focus?
Ooh. See, I would say this depends on who you are. Because for me, as someone with ADHD, if I revise in the garden, acceptable, because I am in control of the distractions there. Park, no. The kids that are over there playing frisbee, I'm like, wow, that looks so fun. I wish I was playing frisbee. And suddenly I'm having a whole daydream about playing frisbee in the park. Whereas in my garden, it's kind of okay because there's a fence and nobody else is in there. Yeah. So I think it kind of depends on who you are.
Okay. Before you lock in an answer, I'm going to just say it one more time.
Okay.
Okay. Revising in the garden or park can actually help you focus.
Okay. See, that's the ADHD. I'm like, woo. I would say true.
That's correct.
Yes.
Well done, Blair. You were close.
I was close.
I had to help you out then.
Thank you. That was my phone a friend moment. Had to channel that one in. Yeah, I would say it's different for different people. I mean, what do you find working in the park or garden helpful?
I found it quite helpful just to get like a change of scenery. Garden's quite a nice spot. Yeah, I used to do flashcards in the garden.
Yes.
You can't. It's not very nice to having a screen out there because you can't see it or whatever.
Can't see it very well.
But yeah, like a nice shady area, some flashcards. I think I made flashcards on my trampoline.
That's nice.
Yeah.
There's something about being younger and laying on your trampoline and just like doing a weird mundane task that just feels really refreshing.
Absolutely.
I love sitting on a trampoline.
I wish I had a trampoline now.
Same. Maybe we should just get one in the office.
Let's get one for the podcast. We'll do the podcast on a trampoline.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
But they can only see our faces when we've jumped. So we'll be
like,
our
hey
heads.
guys,
our heads will just be coughing in and out of frame.
Study Survival Podcast.
All right, brilliant.
Terrific.
Next question.
Go on.
You don't need a revision timetable in the summer. Wait, let me rephrase this one because this is badly phrased.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom.
Having a study timetable isn't helpful in the summer. True or false?
I'd say false.
That's correct. Well done.
Yes. Okay.
It can still be helpful in
Definitely.
the summer, right?
Even if you don't 100% stick to it, just having a rough gauge of where you're supposed to be when, I think is fantastically helpful. And when I was doing my GCSEs, and more so in my A-levels, to be honest, but it's still applicable to both, I made myself a summer structure with like my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I then went to my specifications and checked how many specification points there were from year 10, for example, that I needed to cover. And I split the number, let's say there's 100 and there were, I don't know how many days there are in the summer holidays, whatever. I split the amount of topic points by how many days I had and then was able to see, to cover the entire specification, how many points do I need to be going through a day? Because you have to bear in mind, I didn't do very well in my year 10 exams, so I needed to pick up the pace. But by doing that, it meant I was able to take how many topics I'm supposed to be going through a day, put it in my study timetable, and then I knew that if I stuck to it, or maybe had to substitute some stuff around, I was able to cover the entire year 10 content over the summer holidays. And it doesn't have to be in the most incredible detail ever, but just even watch a YouTube video on each thing, or do some flashcards, or listen to a podcast, or something on each thing meant that when I went into year 11, I was in a completely different position.
Wow, that's pretty intense. I feel like most students won't do that. And
that's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah.
That's okay.
I think if you make a timetable, make it really realistic.
Yeah.
So maybe it's half an hour a day, you know?
Yeah. And leave some like emergency like block off time. I don't know if that makes sense, but like when I was creating my timetable, I think I did like Monday to Thursday, I did 1 or 2 hours a day, and then I had like a long weekend. But I had a slot on Sunday afternoon where it was like anything I didn't cover in the week that I wanted to cover, I just chucked in on that Sunday if, for example, I had something come up and just had to move my timings around.
That's a really good idea, because if you start to go off schedule, it can be tempted just to throw it all out. Well, yeah, to do any revision, I give up. So it's nice to have a bit of like a day to, what's the right word for it?
Like buffer, I guess. Buffer. A buffer zone.
Buffer zone. I love it. Okay, well, you haven't been fired so far, Blair. 12 out of 12 so far. Got maybe 2 more questions.
I just chin slammed the microphone. I don't know if you saw that. It was
didn't. I bet that sounded great. True or false? Studying during the summer can boost your predicted grades.
When are your predicted grade exams? See, this is different from school to school because my brother is in year 10 at the moment and he's just got back his exams that go for his predicted grades, but he has the option to do the exams again at the end of the summer holidays to have like another attempt, which is something my school didn't do. We didn't get to do that.
But can it boost your grades studying over the summer?
Arguably, yes, because yes, correct, true.
Well done, that's correct.
Nice.
Yes, it can boost your predicted grades.
It's the same as anything. If you're going to spend time on a skill or a knowledge base, it will improve.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.
Just like playing the piano.
Just like playing the piano. Last question. If you get this wrong, this would have all been for nothing, Blair, because then you'd be fired.
If I get this right, I'm going to have a Maryland when we get back into the office.
You're going to have a what?
A Maryland cookie.
A Maryland cookie? I thought
there are 3 packets and at least 2 of those cookies have my name on.
Wow. Celebration cookies.
Absolutely.
This is pretty dense.
I'm nervous. My heart's beating.
True or false? You should only revise core subjects like maths and English over the summer.
Are you ready for my answer?
Ready.
Boom, 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 boom. Maybe Pete can add this in as an after sound effect. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, I think... Wait, can you ask the question again? Because I've forgotten the phrasing.
All right. True or false? You should only revise core subjects like maths and English over the summer.
I think the answer is... Full Love Island. I think the answer is... false.
That's correct. Yay! Well done.
Yay.
Well done.
I think obviously it goes without saying you should prioritize the different subjects that need a little bit more attention. If you're at a 3 in physics and a 9 in chemistry, you can probably say that you don't need to do as much revision on chemistry as you do on physics. And that would be a fairly safe assumption to make. So just have a look and see what your confidence levels are in each different subject. Maybe look at some of the past papers or end of topic exams that you've done, get a rough working out of where you would sit grade-wise, and then prioritize some of those weaker areas, even though they're not as fun to do. Swallow your frogs.
Swallow your frogs.
And you'll be fine.
Excellent. Well done, Blair. You did it. 14 out of 14. What did you get? Let us know. Those people who are listening.
Did anybody beat my score? Well, not because I got 100%.
Very good. Did anyone match Blair's score?
Yeah.
I'd love to know.
Did anyone get 0?
Good. Well, hopefully you now know the best study practices over the summer.
Yep. That was a fun little quiz.
And Blair,
I still have a job.
You get to keep your job. Well done.
Oh, God. This is the wrong height for me today. I'm just like, dong, dong, dong. Yeah, no, fantastic. That was a really good quiz. Thank you for organising that. That was very fun. Maybe I'll quiz you next week. What should we quiz Will on? You're a maths teacher. We'll give you some maths questions. You're like,
I'll just go
here's
on the
a
board.
maths question.
Yeah, great.
Answer it, or you're fired.
You can see that on Will Teaches GCSE Maths on
TikTok.
TikTok.
If you don't follow Will on TikTok, he's got his own TikTok page at the moment, and he's like going through maths papers and maths questions in different TikToks. So definitely go and what's your TikTok handle?
Will Teaches GCSE Maths.
There you go. Maybe we'll type that up here, and then you can see it. But anyway, I think that's all from us this week. We will be back again, same time next week, as per usual. If you want to make sure you don't miss mine and Will's gorgeous faces, make sure you are following us with post notifications on. And if you're listening, also follow us and turn the post notifications on.
Please.
And we will see you. Please.
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 Anyway, we'll see you next week. Hope you're all having a lovely summer. Make sure you're wearing hats and sun cream and drinking lots of water if you're outside in the next couple of days. Because there's an amber weather warning because it's so warm.
Wow, that's crazy.
Crazy.
Bye, guys.
The end.
The end.
Goodbye.
Have a good week.